Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2020. Nothing super new to report here. Obviously, markets were kind of mixed at the end of the day. The broad market, S&P was down big and the Dow was down. We don't care much about the Dow, but the Nasdaq did manage to close just slightly green in the end. Here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market in futures form. Obviously has taken quite the dive here over the last month or so. We all know that. Let's just look through the daily charts, then we'll look at the intraday action. We'll talk about data for tomorrow and what to expect here. Crude oil up 85 cents to 24.20. Gold up 18.5 right now. Gold has rebounded here finally. S&P cash, like I said, lost 67.52, so that was new lows on the S&P cash. Nasdaq 100 literally closed up 12 points, which is a blip on the 7,000 point index. Swept new lows from this rundown here, but like I said, closed green. Stocks, the semiconductors up 43.58. Biotech's down 28.01. The Russell 2000 loses 11.47. The VIX closes down 4.45. The trend closes at 0.087. Advanced decline ratio on the Nasdaq. Volume on the Nasdaq was 4.3 billion shares. Now, notice we finally get a day that it still looks ugly for the Dow and the S&P, but it's green for the Nasdaq. It's the lightest volume day of the last 2 weeks. 4.3 billion shares. Nasdaq advanced decline ratio negative 679, so still more stocks down than up, and then on the New York negative 1598, so 1572, so still more stocks down than up. Google loses 14.08. Apple loses 4.87. Netflix gains 27.44. This is part of why the Nasdaq was up. I've been saying for weeks. I mean, if everybody's going to be stuck indoors, you'd think that'd be good for something like Netflix, which is really the only pure streamer out there. Amazon up 56.74. You'd also kind of think it'd be good for Amazon, although not if they shut deliveries down or anything like that. Tesla gains $5.76, sitting right on that static trend line. Facebook down $1.63. Goldman Sachs loses another $3.44. Continues to suffer here. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, up 6.57. Bounced right off that static trend line. Here we go, straight up. And then the Dow was down another 582 points to 18,591. All right, in terms of the intraday action, so here's the ES and 5-minute candles. So the ES basically opened fairly flat. I'm down a little bit, went lower, came back up, filled the gap, then went really lower. That's where it hit the lows of the session, and that was pretty much the whole session. It came back up over lunch, swept the highs by a couple points, and just wiggled around and closed in the lower half of the range. Nasdaq side, it's kind of the same thing, just with a more positive close, right? Kind of gapped up a couple points and then went down, up, down. Really one of the flatter days we've seen in a while, and so maybe some of the measures that the Fed's taking are at least starting to take hold in people's minds. Whether that forms any kind of permanent low or not remains to be seen. Tuesday, we've got the G7 meetings. We've got flash manufacturing and services PMI numbers at 9:45 a.m. Richmond Manufacturing Index at 10, and new home sales at 10. That's it for data. Not a lot coming out this week anyways. So we are not going to put anything in the report for picks because right now, obviously, the scans are kind of a mess. A lot of things extended to the downside, but also because we keep getting gaps. Obviously, when I did the market preview of the weekend, it looked like a big gap down. The Fed made an announcement Monday morning. Instead, it was really looking like a big gap up, and then we ended up opening about flat. And we're talking about 100, 200 point swings on the ES pre-market. Right now, as I do this the night before Tuesday, we've got the S&P showing, or the ES showing up 72, and the Nasdaq showing up 204. But who knows if that holds or not by the morning time. So we will see what we get. It's definitely going to be a volatile thing, and we will call it from the tape with intraday calls in our Twitter feed as usual. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading